So, okay, yesterday we were talking about how Michael Wolff may have gotten access and what the agreement was, and it's pretty funny. He sort of like talks about this. We're going to play. Is it a long clip? Is this really long? All right, well, let's listen to this because this is sort of fascinating because, and look, this is on some level, this is just gossip. On another level, it's also an insight into the most powerful office, arguably in the country, that is led by arguably someone who's completely off their rocker, and this is important. It seems to me, both in terms of like what it can tell us about what's going on and what influence it may have going forward. Here's Michael Wolff with Savannah Guthrie.
Made up.
Absolutely everything in the book.
Let's talk about the book itself, because one of the overarching themes is that, according to your reporting, everyone around the president, senior advisors, family members, every single one of them questions his intelligence and fitness for office.
Let me put a marker in the sand here. 100% of the people around him.
Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, Ivanka Trump, question his fitness for office?
Every time and I want to be careful about who I spoke to, because the nature of this kind of book is you kind of grant everyone a veil. But having said that, certainly Jared and Ivanka, in their current situation, which is in a deep legal quagmire, are putting everything on the president. Not us, it's him.
What are some of the ways the president was described to you by those closest to him?
You know, I will tell you the one description that everyone gave, everyone has in common. They all say he is like a child. And what they mean by that is he has a need for immediate gratification. It's all about him. Now, I mean, this letter for this cease and desist letter. I mean, I still have sources in the White House, and I know everybody was going, we should not be doing this. This is not smart. And he just insists. He just has to be satisfied in the moment.
You said that these senior people insult his intelligence. What are the kinds of things people would say?
They say he's a moron, an idiot. Actually, there's a competition to sort of get to the bottom line here of who this man is. Let's remember, this man does not read, does not listen.
I'll suck your wife,
pause it for 1 second. And there's also something, there's another part of the backstory here in terms of Michael Wolff. For the past year or so, Michael Wolff has been slagging other reporters who have been giving Trump less than favorable coverage to clearly ingratiate himself in with Donald Trump, right? I mean, and there's stuff coming out like the dinner party that Ailes and Murdoch, I think it was Ailes and Murdoch had attended, just Ailes and
Bannon.
And Bannon had attended. He threw the dinner party. It was Wolff's dinner party. Now, he doesn't say that in the book, but it's come out since then. That is not your sort of like journalism within the lines. That doesn't mean that what was reported there was anything but true. It's just like, this is a different type of, there's some questionable, on the line ethics. Now, he's also like universally hated, I think, Mike Wolff by just about all journalists and reporters. But
both of Sarah Huckabee's eyes hate him.
Right.
Okay. That's the kind of guy he is.
So just, we should put that down there. And again, I think we're coming up to this part where I made it clear yesterday, a reporter like this, all reporters, when they approach you, they will not offer up to you the different sort of like protections, options that you can have, right? They're not going to say, hey, if there's anything you feel uncomfortable about, you can tell me it's off the record. If you want me to know part of the story but don't want to attribute you, you can say it's background. They have a set of rules that unless you've dealt with the press, you would never know. And like the journalists, and this is sort of, an effed up type of situation a little bit, because all the journalists know what these things mean. They have all agreed to what the parameters are, but they don't tell their subjects. And that's why you hire a PR person who tells you, like, hey, when you're dealing with this guy or this woman, you need to say, this is off the record, or you need to say, this is on background, or this means this is on the record, you can quote me. You need to do all of those things. And so a guy like this, look, there's a presumption that if you're the president of the United States, or you're a billionaire, or you've been dealing with the press for 40 years in New York, that you are aware of this stuff. And the fact of the matter is, none of the people in the White House, none, seem to have any savvy whatsoever.
Assumptions. You
Scattermooches.
Don't operate off. You think he went to Harvard. He worked at a hedge fund. That guy's savvy. That guy's barely cognitively functional at a baseline. Never make assumptions.
Actually, there's a competition to sort of get to the bottom line here of who this man is. Let's remember, this man does not read, does not listen. So he's like a pinball, just shooting off the sides.
One of the more disturbing observations you make in the book is that the president's close advisors, people around him, have noticed him repeating stories, expression for expression, you say, within a short period of time.
In a shortening period. So they've all tracked this, that it used to be...
he's getting
crazier.
crazier.
People would point out that in the beginning, it was like every 25 or 30 minutes, you would get the same 3 stories repeated. Now it's the same 3 stories in every 10 minutes.
And what's the suggestion there? Because that goes beyond saying, okay, the president's not an intellectual. I mean, what are you arguing there? You say, for example, that he was at Mar-a-Lago and didn't recognize lifelong friends.
I will quote Steve Bannon. He's lost it.
Let's talk about Steve Bannon, because here's somebody...
Pause it for 1 second. I mean, I guess we could choose not to believe him, but we're now, like, getting someone who's literally been in the room for the 6 to 8 months, 10 months, a year, in contact with people who are still in the room, and he's saying he's lost it.
Maybe I'll also make like just a minimal version or a sort of journalistic equivalent of the changing norms argument. I mean, there's a piece that Brendan just sent me, which I was meaning to read, by Drew McGarry in GQ, and it's titled "What Michael Wolff Did What Every Other White House Reporter Is Too Cowardly to Do. Why is Fire and Fury having such an impact? It's because Wolff was willing to throw away decorum, torch his access, and more journalists should do the same." And in this context, I completely agree. I don't know everything about Wolff's past or whatever. I have zero problem with this book.
Here's the thing. The torching of the access is the key. He doesn't care. He's cashing in his chips. He's like, I'm done. I'm moving to the next casino. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I'll never talk to these people. Now apparently he still has sources.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about that. I think there's probably at least,
he's still got a parking spot.
Yeah, there's like half of the White House like, hey Mike, what do you think we should do about your book? I'm going to threaten to sue you. Steve's lying. This is the first person Trump wanted on the phone. Get Mike Wolff on the phone. And he's the only person that will take care of this book.
We got a real problem. We need another reporter in here, super quick.
Man.
I think that's true. I mean, I think
who's doing a story on me right now?
What's hilarious? I mean, Wolff writes really insightfully about the relationship with Haberman and how she actually does, in a kind of very limited way, she does regularly torch Trump, and they're so obsessed with getting the affection of the New York Times that he keeps dealing with it. But more broadly, I mean, this point is totally true. If there isn't even a trade-off with these people, they're only going to lie to you. They're completely incompetent.
But here's the difference.
They're insane.
Michael Wolff writes this book, and then he just moves on to the next topic.
I understand.
If you're a reporter, a beat reporter or something like that.
But you're a beat reporter, you're going to get...
You're done.
Well, maybe not.
No,
maybe
but I mean...
if you're talking to people on background. I'm not saying...
No. Here's my point. You write that article, and if you can't get back into the White House...
Right, no, I understand.
I mean, that's the thing. But
I get it. I understand.
You lose your job. All right, let's continue.
Let's talk about Steve Bannon, because here's somebody who was on the record with you, made some pretty bold assertions, as you mentioned, has disparaged the president, and yet now, in the last couple of days, says he's a great man and nothing can separate us. What's Bannon doing here?
I want to make one. I mean, the president has tried to put this book is about Steve Bannon. So let me say very forthrightly, this book is not about Steve Bannon. This book is about Donald Trump. As for Steve Bannon, and I spoke to Steve as I spoke to many people throughout the length of the reporting here, and really saw a transformation, not only of Steve, but of everyone. But Steve, in a way, is most vivid, or his language is the most vivid. And the transformation was, you know, we thought this presidency could work. We thought Donald Trump is an interesting, unique character, and we might be able to do something here. And they saw him over that time come to the conclusion he cannot do this job.
Boom. There you go.
It's just like that time I did meth with the Jesus and Mary chain, and everyone got mad at me for writing about it afterwards.
There you go.
That's exactly what it's like. You were so unfair to them.
So unfair.
Jesus and Mary chain thought they were under the umbrella of
How
trust.
could you do that to Jesus? Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos